Potato.
Oh, jeez. Fear not, citizens. We're back. This isn't an episode of Attack on Titan, regardless of what Isaac wants you to assume with the whole potato thing. It's is the
Oh,
Amateur Otaku podcast where we're covering My Hero Vigilantes. What's up, man?
I'm tired. And consider, okay, if it's not Attack on Titan, then should I say the cabbages, or is that for a potential Amateur The Last Airbender episode?
My cabbages! No, 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 no. Ironically, the chapter that we're covering of MHAV starts off with food monsters. And I hate that because it makes your jokes topical.
I know, I
So,
know.
guys, chaotic start, but you wouldn't expect anything less from the Amateur Otaku podcast. Chapters 37 and 38 of Vigilantes are what we're covering. This first chapter is simply titled Big Brother. All Might shows up, smashes a tofu villain in the face, and then he dips in All Might fashion. This is a chapter that's really just setting up where we are in this world, right? We're setting up Sukuchi's character, his relationship with his sister, her relationship with Pop Step, and the Cruller or the Crawler, depending on what dialect you're speaking in. And All Might is dealing with the time limit right now. I wonder how that's going to work
Yeah,
out for him, you know?
I wonder.
Hopefully he gets that fixed and he doesn't have to go into an early retirement, but who knows? Oh man, Isaac, what are your thoughts on like this batch of chapters? Because it's really just I don't feel like we're learning new information in these two. It's just more establishing where we are. We get some cool stuff with Koichi later on, which I really want to get
Well,
into later.
sticking to chapter 37 for now,
Yeah.
my favorite part of that episode was the conversation between the chief and All Might, because it was just it's a simple. It tells a lot. How should I put it? I dare argue it's a bit Batman slash Bruce Wayne and James Gordon type of conversation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you've got your vigilante and your cop having this back and forth over coffee. It's very Batman and Gordon when you think about it.
Yeah, and I have to say that uh, seeing him being so uh, all my seeing is so, how should I put it? But should I give him that present I got? It gave me a chuckle. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I really have learned to appreciate with vigilantes and team up missions. Again, we're not trying to spoil the main line, My Hero Academia, but like it's refreshing seeing things at peace, right? Seeing All Might just have an awkward conversation with his friend and not be in dire peril because you don't know what the Paranormal Liberation Front are going to do. It's just a nice moment. Seeing Isaiah walk down the street, right? It's moments like that where it's just like, yeah, it's almost nostalgic because this is how My Hero Academia started. And it moved away from that over time. And so this is kind of taking us back to, yeah, this is what My Hero Academia originally felt like. Just seeing All Might get flustered by buying one of his best friends a bath kit is just funny. And then the payoff of the joke at the end is perfect.
Yeah, and it, it's also going back to the whole what we talked about earlier. It's it's a bit also, how should I put it? If you want higher stakes, you read a Justice League comics. If you want some more smaller stakes, you buy a, for most of the times, a Suicide Squad book.
Until they start fighting demons and witches and blah blah blah.
Why do you think I said for the most part?
Yeah, I know, I hear you. It's like buying. Yeah, I totally feel you. It's more akin to Matt Fraction's Hawkeye compared to whatever event comic Marvel's having out right now, right? Because in that Hawkeye run, it's very Clint is struggling because XYZ, and he's got to deal with his neighbors, but he's also got to deal with the tracksuit mafia, and he's also an Avenger, and it's very low key compared to the larger Marvel universe.
The
And
fact that it's called the tracksuit mafia, so I can't take that serious. I'm not gonna lie.
you gotta take him seriously, bro. Trust me.
Are they tracking my comments in a suitcase?
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, I really like the dynamics here. I also like just Koichi being a lovable idiot. Like, it's funny how he contrasts Deku, right? Where Deku is basically a genius. Koichi is not.
He's just a naive fool.
He's very Naruto-esque at times, I will say.
I mean, okay.
Put the money in the
One
jar.
more.
I'm sorry, I know.
He is. I dare argue that the Naruto became less naive over time, but
I mean, over time, but we just met this guy just like early Naruto.
good point. Good point.
Or, he's like the main character from Jujutsu Kaisen. Yuji, right? Ichitori.
Yeah. He's not inhumanly strong. So,
I mean,
but personality-wise, sure.
He's not inhumanly strong so far, right? Because that's the biggest thing we're kind of getting. Well, I love this bit from My Hero Academia Vigilantes, right? Is that in My Hero proper, the mainline series, all of our characters go to UA, or at least another big time school. They get trained and develop their quirks and become ultra powerful. I love how Koichi is basically self taught. So he's unlocking power he didn't even know he had because nobody was able to train him because he didn't go to UA. And he's just slowly like getting more and more powerful. Like, do you think that's like an interesting twist on how we see character and power progression so far throughout My Hero Academia?
It's a nice change of pace, if that's what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just an interesting contrast because it's harder for him to power up. But if he was being taught by All Might and Eraserhead and Midnight and all these other characters, like Deku is, would he be as powerful as Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki, any of those other, main UA students?
I mean, it could be more powerful, but you just don't know how much.
Oh yeah,
And I mean,
it's a shonen. He's gonna get like some super duper upgrade halfway through this series.
yeah, probably.
Even if he just gets the ability of like the Flash and he gets faster.
I mean, also, I was just gonna say that it's a shame that he didn't get. No. I'm gonna stop myself there.
I mean, you saying this now, you got to follow through with it, man. You just got to say it.
I was just going to say a pun and say that I know that probably most there is more than one student who wants to do a midnighter, and I know that how it could have. You get what I mean.
I don't, but I think it's better that I don't. So we'll just leave that.
Have you studied? You have worked midnight, right?
I think we should just leave this alone because
And
I'm afraid of where we're going to go with this conversation.
I mean, you have done night shifts.
Yes.
What's a female student teacher's name? Midnight. Yeah, and it becomes just doubled. It just sounds double, and I'm just realized that, and doing a midnighter, and I'm just Bad, Isaac. Bad.
We're gonna put you in timeout for like the next 2 minutes here, right quick. So mute. Isaac's been muted because he's in timeout. So until we get things back on track with chapter 38, we have Eraserhead and Tsukuchi still working, trying to figure out what's going on with the trigger, and they're basically trying to figure out where it's coming from, who's smuggling it in, yada yada yada. So we get to see this really cool, like detective-esque side of Aizawa, which is something we don't get a lot of. Speaking of your Batman analogy earlier, Isaac.
Yeah. I mean, also he has his quote unquote said, I'm coming here because I need my ritual, and it's just so Batman also. If you really think about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I'm just glad there isn't any bees involved here, because that way it would just be make this work even weirder.
So yeah, they're trying to get information on this hero, O'Clock, who it's not colored, but he's got to be wearing like red and yellow, right? He's definitely inspired by the Flash, I feel like, in this chapter. Am I wrong with thinking that?
No.
Yeah. He's got the lightning and everything. So, like, do you think this new villain, the speedster villain, he refers to him as Master? Do you think that's like his son, like Aizawa alluded to? Do you think this is just somebody who's like, I want to take up the mantle of blah blah blah?
I honestly have no idea.
It's one of those things where I guess we'll see what happens. I have a crazy theory though. Hear me out. Is O'Clock anyway connected to Knuckle Duster?
And what makes you suspect that?
Because one, Knuckle Duster has not been in the story for a while, and so if they're investigating O'Clock and it leads them to Knuckle Duster, that is a way to kind of tie him back in. He hasn't been around since his daughter. Two, he is a very skilled fighter and he is very adept at understanding quirks. So I wonder if that's because he's had experience with having a quirk. Maybe he's also investigating Trigger to try and get a quirk back. Maybe All for One took it. That's my crazy crackpot theory. I have no idea. I feel like Knuckle Duster is a main player in this story, and having him missing for so long, it's gonna mean he's connected to something crazy to tie him back in. That's just where I'm coming from. I could be way off base with it.
I mean, I see where you're coming from.
You just
definitely
disagree.
See. I don't. I honestly don't disagree. I'm just thinking about: is there anything anything you might have missed that I would like to add on?
Yeah, it's just, especially since this guy is learning, at least in Eraserhead's imagination, the new guy is learning how to fight. So what if Knuckle Duster took somebody under his wing, much like the Crawler, years ago, and they became a villain, like a Star Wars character?
Luke, I'm your father. Okay, no. That wouldn't work here, but you get my point.
Yeah, it's more of a Qui-Gon Obi-Wan relationship, and then Anakin turns to the dark side type of deal. But yeah, we're on the right track. I don't know. It's just something to think about because this guy is a boxer and Knuckle Duster is a boxer. It's a very thin comparison, I will admit, but over time, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that develop into something. I know half the people who are probably listening to this already know what happens, so keep that to yourself until we figure it out. Thank you.
For once, we are not not up to speed to a manga we are covering. What is this? Tuesday?
It's just another Tuesday here in Central City. What do you think of Koichi realizing he has like a levitation quirk, which is why he's able to cling to things? I thought that was a nice little detail.
I mean, it's levitate its train of thought and options being a vigilante.
So you're going back in time out for this episode. No. But I just think it's interesting seeing his thought process. And I love him trying to figure out how he could, like, he's basically got Iron Man repulsors he's trying to thrust out of his hands, which is really funny.
Which makes me wonder, where did he get that tech? I can't remember him getting that tech.
It's not that it's tech, that's his quirk. You know, he's like throwing little force fields, essentially.
Yeah, but it looks like he has some special gloves that he didn't have before. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, those are probably just like biker gloves, nothing high tech or anything, I would assume. And then of course you still have his dynamic with Pop Step, which is hilarious and adorable at the same time.
It pops up perfectly, that's for certain.
Indeed. Do you think Eraserhead's going to be a major player going forward as he's still trying to investigate the trigger? Because he's popped up a few times.
He's the perfect he's the perfect teacher for a story like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the perfect fit. It was kind of weirder seeing All Might involved. It's like, yeah, this is a very good Eraserhead story, especially since apparently he's not a teacher yet. So this is kind of, I feel like, his last hurrah until he just gets stuck behind a desk most of his career.
I mean, and it's because now that I think about it, he isn't a teacher. I totally forgot that. I was just thinking about the quote unquote for whatever reason it's not removed here in Europe, deleted the non-deleted / deleted chapter where Midnight is pushing him to be a teacher, and her interesting you know what what chapter I'm talking about.
Yeah, the one we didn't get a chance to cover because it's not available here in the States. It might be a one-shot somewhere we can find.
Where she talks about how she wants to cram out her students' body fluid and all that jazz. Okay, this is getting weird. Let's keep on going.
This is the third time. We're not even 18 minutes into this episode. How do you expect me to recover for a third time? There's nowhere else to go. We might as well just end the episode here.
No, let's continue.
Okay, I mean, did you have anything else from these two chapters? I mean, they're not bad for me by any stretch, but I just think that a lot of the setup is going to be really cool in the future, not necessarily where we are in these two.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And also, I don't know, Oh, one thing. The way he tries to... he shows up with a... try to make his quirk and all that, yes, in this chapter at the end.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look like he's trying to do a no, not Kaioken. Hadouken. Doesn't it almost look like that?
I mean, I guess Hadouken, a Kamehameha, Iron Man repulsor, they all kind of have a similar stance and like thrust to it. So I think you can interpret it however you want. The point is he's copying moves from whatever pop culture reference you want it to be.
I trust you on that information.
All right. I guess that calls it an episode then, huh?
Yeah.
Cool.
So where can people find you, my friend?
You can find me at Novice Cinephile on YouTube at youtube.com/Novice Cinephile or on Twitter at Novice Cinephile. Also at TikTok, same username, Novice Cinephile, where I'm posting videos all the time there. And Twitter is basically where you can find me all the time. I'm tweeting about movies, TV, anime, comics, so you can follow me there. And right here on the podcast, talking My Hero Academia with you, my friend. What about you?
Well, you can find well, most of the time you can find me here, and I'm working on a couple of or should hopefully have them all published right now. Some reviews up soon, and which is a lot of fun. And we also have our love. We also have something planned for this month. We're doing yet another Studio Ghibli movie, and you who have watched us before, or should I say, listen to us before we started YouTubing, will know about what show. We might be surprised seeing that show popping up at your as a review feed, but Mike haven't seen that one, even though Brandon and I have for obvious reasons. So I figured when Brandon is semi on vacation, I say semi because we're gonna try and do some Doron / Kaija this week, record some Kaija and Doron this weekend. We are. We thought. I thought that why not make a sort of like a Mike's first watch type of episode for this show, which shall be fun to see.
Indeed. And if you guys want to stay up to date on all things on the channel, just hit the subscribe button. That really helps out a lot. Also, leave comments down below on what you want us to cover in the future. Or, alternatively, if you don't want to leave a comment, you can just tweet at us at Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter. We are posting there daily. You get videos there, you get insight and memes there, of course, as always, because we're a chaotic bunch here at the podcast. So with that, we'll get you in the next episode of Vigilantes. Go beyond. Plus Ultra.
Plus Ultra.